It was sea, not sand, that dominated the Arabian Peninsula at the time of the dinosaurs. If you could have been there, and if you'd watched closely, you would have witnessed the secret to how our modern 21st century was born. Keen-eyed predators were on the lookout for food, and there was plenty of it about. The mid-Jurassic Ocean was alive with microscopic plankton. Schools of ancient fish gorged on the rich pickings, attracting unwanted attention from the prehistoric depths. But it's not who's doing the eating that's important here. It's those being eaten. It's the long-lost blooms of tiny photosynthetic plants and bacteria sunbaking at the surface that have reached through time to control our modern lives. It's from these harvesters of ancient sunlight that the petrol in your car was born, where diesel, jet fuel and plastic shopping bags began life. This is the start of the extraordinary story of oil.
It was just so convenient. Civilization had never seen anything like it before. We were burning logs and coal for our energy, and here was this stuff.
We've suddenly had this flood over the last 150 years of an immense, easy, convenient, cheap, abundant source of energy that has just changed the world, really.
Oil is concentrating millions of years of sunlight that fell all over the planet into a liquid. And then we can take that liquid, and it's so easy for us, we can burn it.
Stone, bronze, iron. The great ages of humanity are defined by the raw elements we mine from the earth and use to drive civilization. We like to think we're living in a bold new age of silicon, but the stuff that powers us is oil. Ancient, mysterious, and messy. There are now 6.5 billion of us on the planet, pretty much all relying on oil in some way every day, myself included.
Well, if it's so important, it's a bit surprising then that most of us don't know what crude oil really is or where it comes from. And this is a fascinating story with a sobering twist at the end that pretty much no one has seen coming.
Well, with all these geology stories begin, I visualize a warm, shallow sea. But that's where a lot of the rocks come from, where a lot of these things happen.
Basically, oil is formed from living material, from tiny, microscopic, in fact, plants that proliferate in the surface of the oceans.
They are definitely the beginning of the oil story. They are the material from which everything else subsequently evolves.
So they fall down onto the sea floor, and then the sediment builds up layer by layer by layer by layer by layer.
When we were exploring in the early days, when we found a black, stinky kind of looking shale, and sometimes it even smelt of oil if you cracked it open, we said, well, that seems a likely source.
All these men are geologists who have been involved in finding the oil we use. And this was about the limit of what they knew only 20 years ago. Back then, locating oil reservoirs was much easier than explaining where the precious liquid hydrocarbons had come from. Now, a deeper understanding is emerging.
To find out what separates a supervention algae from a barrel of crude, we need to negotiate an unlikely sequence of improbable events, stretching across a gulf of unimaginably deep time. But like every good epic, this one has a central character. It's incredibly ancient, impossibly small, and we're all full of it. It's carbon.
Carbon. Our bones and bodies would not exist without it. Nor would plants or microbes, or the incredible carbon chemistry that links us all together. Carbon is the stuff of life on Earth. And it is old. Carbon was forged in the nuclear furnaces of long-dead stars before our solar system was even a wink in the celestial eye. This means every atom now on Earth has been on a restless adventure since the dawn of time. And that as far as carbon is concerned, every life form on the planet, us included, is 100% recycled and recyclable. Right now, about 1 trillion tons of carbon are bound up in living organisms. But far more is locked away in the fossil fuels like coal, oil and gas, and in the very rocks of the Earth, deep underground.
Of course, the carbon in you and I, and the air we breathe, is older than the Earth itself. But we can start this story of carbon, the crude story, in the fiery mouth of an active volcano much like this one, on a very different-looking planet, a long, long time ago.
Back in the mid-Jurassic, the Earth was a dinosaur-inhabited world on the move. The continents, once joined together, were now breaking up. And the sustained volcanism pumped massive amounts of carbon into the atmosphere. Enter our central character, a single atom of carbon. It's been pumped out as a carbon dioxide molecule, joined at the hip to 2 oxygen atoms. It may be just one in a swarm of countless zillions, but it's as good a guide as any to take us through this oily adventure. As a gas, carbon dioxide helps set the global thermostat in the comfortable range. Too little carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and the entire planet will freeze. Too much and it will cook all over. And the Jurassic Earth is cooking.